We talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual. My name is Greg Bakken, and thank you very much for joining me today. You know, one of the things that we'd like to do before we kind of get into things, kind of set what today's episode is going to be about, what our topic is today. And so to start things off, I want to play this piece of audio from the Today Show that features the daughter of President George W. Bush. This is Jenna Bush talking about how haunted the White House is.
Where? We were at the White House. And I know the White House has to be haunted, right? I mean, and maybe again, that's us thinking it has to be haunted.
But so many, yes.
But my phone rang. It woke us up in the middle of the night. We had a fireplace in our room, and all of a sudden, we started hearing like 1920s piano music, as clear as day, coming
through
out
the
the fireplace. I like jumped in Barbara's bed. We were both awake. The next week, we heard the same thing, but opera. And we talked ourselves out of it. But then I said to a guy, Buddy, one of my favorite men in the world who still works at the White House, I said, Buddy, you wouldn't believe what we heard last night. And he goes, oh, Jenna, you wouldn't believe what I've heard. It's haunted.
Oh, that is so good.
I know. Anyway, Barbara and
So that's a topic that I have been very interested in for a very, very long time. And my guest today is going to be able to talk with us a little bit about it. We got a lot more to talk to him about as well. Dale Kaczmarek is president of the Ghost Research Society and director of Excursions into the Unknown Incorporated, the only year-round ghost tour of the haunted Chicagoland locations. Dale has been actively investigating ghost hauntings and poltergeist phenomena since 1975 and is active in a number of organizations, including American Association for Electronic Voice Phenomena, Society for Investigation of Unexplained, International 14 organization, and prestigious Ghost Club of England. Dale has been active for 46 years in the field and has investigated over 4,100 cases, both public and private. He has accumulated what may be the largest collection of authentic spirit photograph collections in the world and has taught workshops, classes, and seminars on the subject of spirit photography and ghost hunting techniques. His website, Ghost Research Society, is one of the most active of its kind where it's in the world. His group, Ghost Research Society, uses some of the most state-of-the-art paranormal equipment in the field today. Dale has authored 6 books and has appeared on many, many television programs. Dale, welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much. And I apologize. We had some problem getting a hold of you at the beginning of the program. So we're just going to kind of wing it. I have a plan for today. Let's put it that way, and we'll just kind of go through it as best we can. And I really appreciate you coming on. You know, you can listen to us live on AM 950 radio, but we're also streaming video. You can watch us on AM 950, Things Network, MN Ghostbox, Free Spirited Network, RU Media, Skeleton Key Network, and Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. So please go there and support those pages too. Feel free to leave questions on any of those pages you are watching as I'm monitoring those comments. If you have any questions for Dale, and Dale, we want to talk about the White House today, but also I just want to make sure that you know that by the end of the program, I certainly want to talk a little bit more about your extensive background, as well as talking, as well as we'll just scratch the surface, and hopefully you'll want to come back at some point as well. So, let's kind of dive in here a little bit. I think one of the things that's been around more recently in the last year or so had been the Discovery Plus documentary, The Demon in the White House. And I obviously watched that to get ready for this, but there's so much more to it than that documentary, what's going on there. Just a hot take, Dale. What do you feel? What do you think about that documentary?
I actually didn't see that documentary myself. I mean, I've appeared on a similar documentary.
Sure.
With a British crew that came out here and did several segments. One of them was on the White House ghost, and the other one was on the crash of Flight 191 here in Chicago.
Oh yeah. The kind of the underlying part of that documentary, which I just don't really know. I haven't seen this anywhere else. Is that they're trying to piece together this idea of some kind of demon that has been a part of the land that the White House had been built upon. And I everywhere else I look, I've not seen anything that gives that sort of background. I mean, is that something that you've researched into? Have you heard that before? Any kind of demon at the White House? And
No, I
let's not
actually
be
haven't.
political.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I mean, I've heard of a lot of different ghost stories, and they're very political figures that have been seen in the White House ever since it was originally landed. David Burns
Yes.
had sold back in 1791 to where the White House is now built, and he may be the very first ghost that was ever encountered in the White House. And since then, there have been first ladies, staff members, presidents, security guards, valets, you name it, that have had encounters with all different types of very colorful figures from the past.
And David Burns is a very interesting one, isn't he? Because, like you said, it was trying to get the land off of him, and he didn't want to do it at all, did he? He didn't want to give any of that, sell any of that to George Washington.
No, he didn't. In fact, George Washington actually referred to him as the obstinate Mr. Burns. So, I mean, they kind of like did what you call eminent domain, and they basically kind of took the land away from him, more or less. And people since that time have actually heard what they believe is David Burns saying, "I am Mr. Burns. I am David Burns." You kind of like, reiterating that this was once his property, and just don't forget the property that I gave you, which you built this beautiful White House at top of.
Yeah, that's the cool. I mean, to me, that's really cool. And, I have to laugh because I love that, President Washington having the very stern, insult to David Burns by calling him the obstinate. That's to see how far we've come over the course of, 200 years. But, I just find that it's a very reasonable story in my mind that Mr. Burns would still be there because he didn't want to give up the land in the first place. And I could see that he doesn't want to leave because he wants to see what happens to it. At least that's what came to my mind immediately.
Oh, yeah. I mean, basically, I think he's just kind of reminding everybody. That's what I think. He's kind of reminding everybody that just don't forget me. This was my land at one time. And it may be the White House now, and maybe something built upon it. But I lived here initially, and just don't forget that I'm Mr. Burns.
That's pretty incredible, actually. I love that idea that it's this like I'm going to make sure everyone knows that I'm responsible for it. And even though he was, at least what I've seen, he's been kind of described as very difficult to work with, a bigot, racist, all these things. There's something that I find very interesting about the fact he's just like, you're not going to forget me. I'm going to be around. And I just think that, it's one of those things, Dale, that one of those type of hauntings that I personally would love to be able to experience myself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in this day and age, unfortunately, with, since 9/11 and terrorists and all this kind of thing, I don't think that they're ever going to invite, ghost researchers in there to do any investigation. I think it would be just awesome if they would allow something like that, because, even President Obama and President Reagan and people from the George Bush era, I mean, fairly recently have actually experienced things in the Lincoln Room, in the Rose Room, in the Rose Garden, in the hallways, on the staircases of very, very, like I said, colorful figures, Abraham Lincoln, Dolly Madison, Andrew Jackson, and so many others that have actually been seen. Would be, in my opinion, it would be a ghost hunter's dream to try to get in there.
It really would. Let's do this. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Dale Kaczmarek about the haunted White House and so much more. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing plants you can put in your garden right away, as well as ones you want to avoid buying at your local garden center. Our guest is garden columnist Teresa Forte, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
We're facing into some of the greatest challenges the world has faced in decades. How do we address this great transformation in how we deal with land, how we engage with people, how we produce enough food but produce it just and regeneratively? And how do we do that at a time of social, economic, and climatic emergency?
Attend the Regenerative Agriculture and Food Systems Summit in Chicago on March 28th and 29th. This summit brings together farmers, food and beverage brands, and stakeholders with one unified mission: to accelerate the transition to regenerative agriculture. Together, we can build a more abundant and resilient food system for generations to come. For more information, go to Regenerative Agriculture Summit USA. Enter the code FoodFreedom10 for a 10% discount. That's 10% off with Food Freedom 10.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour for the last 5 years on AM 950. We air every Saturday night at 6 p.m. We have artists, musicians, private detectives, politicians, and more. On AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
And welcome back to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bach, and thank you for joining us. Our guest today is president of the Ghost Research Society and director of Excursions into the Unknown Incorporated, Dale Kaczmarek, and we are talking about haunted White House today. And as I had mentioned earlier, it's such an interesting topic to me. Dale, I don't know, with some of the stuff that we had going on at the start of the program, could you hear the soundbite from Jenna Bush?
No, I actually didn't. It was just kind of blank.
Maybe let's try it again here real fast. This is from the Today Show.
I don't know if you see a ghost, but we felt
You did?
something.
Where?
We were at the White House. And I know the White House has to be haunted, right? I mean, and maybe again, that's us thinking it has to be haunted.
But so many, yes.
But my phone rang. It woke us up in the middle of the night. We had a fireplace in our room, and all of a sudden, we started hearing like 1920s piano music, as clear as day, coming
through
out
the
of the fireplace. I like jumped in Barbara's bed. We were both awake. The next week, we heard the same thing, but opera. And we talked ourselves out of it. But then I said to a guy, Buddy, one of my favorite men in the world who still works at the White House, I said, Buddy, you wouldn't believe what we heard last night. And he goes, oh, Jenna, you wouldn't believe what I've heard. It's haunted.
Oh, that is so good.
I know. Anyway.
So did you hear it that time, Dale?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Actually.
All right.
But I am kind of familiar with the story, at least if it's the same one that I was familiar with.
Sure.
That Jenna was hearing music coming out of the fireplace in her room.
Yeah.
And she claimed that the music sounded like something from the 1920s.
Yep.
Nobody believed her. In fact, her sister Barbara never believed her. So one night they decided to both spend the night in the room to see if it would show up. And in fact, it did show up. And they had actually talked to the White House staff about that. And the White House staff told them that was a pretty regular thing for that to happen.
That's exactly what it was. And you did answer one question for me, because she's like, in the soundbite, she's like, and I jumped into Barbara's bed. I'm like, you shared a room at the White House? Isn't it big enough for more than, one sibling? Here's the thing, though. So they mentioned a person by the name of Buddy, who is the White House staff that you're talking about. Have you by chance heard anything more from anything? Has Buddy ever said anything else publicly about what's been going on at the White House?
Not to my knowledge. In fact, most of the reports that I have gotten, there are a few names mentioned, but most of them just say White House staff or valet or something to that extent. With the exception, of dignitaries and past first ladies and presidents that have actually spoken out and said that they had an encounter. This is what happened to them, and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing, also kind of switching gears on you real fast, that I'd seen a photo of back in 1948 when President Truman decided that the White House needed to be like rebuilt from the inside out because it was falling apart literally. There's this famous photo of the inside of the White House completely bored out. It's like a hollow shell, and there's three people when you look at the photo down in the very bottom of the screen, like they're further back against the wall. They're solid, and then there's another one that is transparent, which I've seen this photo for years, but I never saw that it's a transparent person in that photo. Have you seen that?
Actually, no. But I mean, basically, it could be one of two things. I mean, I do a lot of analysis on spirit photographs. I actually have a book on spirit photography.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be one of two things. It could be that perhaps, somebody walked through the frame just as the photograph was taken, making them appear to be transparent, because that's kind of the thing that a lot of times has happened when people take photographs. And we have, I call them walk-ins. They're just people that walk into the frame and walk out, and the film is not fast enough, or the speed is not fast enough to actually freeze that frame, and they appear to be transparent. Now, the flip side, I mean, it could be something paranormal, because again, when you're doing something like that, you're literally gutting out something. People that came before you like to remember the location as they remember it.
Yeah.
When it was initially built back in the 1790s, I believe its construction began about 1792. It wasn't completed until the 1800s. But normally, and this is a reoccurring pattern that I've seen in a lot of different hauntings. When you change the floor plan, you go in there and you really change things around. If there are any spirits around, they become either angry or confused, And that's when things begin to show up sometimes.
If you have a chance, I would definitely take a look at that photo. If I remember correctly, when it was on that documentary, they said that it was discovered either 2008 or 2018 in terms of that individual. And you'll see, I understand the idea of like maybe it's possibly some kind of movement that makes him appear to be transparent, but it also appears that this person is just standing there, and it's so far that it's not, in my mind, it's not possible just to kind of walk into frame because there's so much space, and from where the picture is taken, there's so much breadth of space of the White House that I hope that you track it down at some point, because I'd love to get your take on that analysis for sure.
Okay, sure. I'll definitely look into that.
Because, I mean, certainly, as you said, and this is what we're going to get to later in the program about Dale, spirit photography, and being and analyzing and stuff. And it's such an incredible topic that we can't cover it all just in a short amount of time, because there's all sorts of things that we can definitely talk about when we get down into it, such as now in the digital age, and there's so many people trying to fake stuff that it makes it, it makes it difficult. And it might be super easy for someone like you, but for a lot of people who want to believe, there's a lot of people who want to believe, obviously, and have no other motive beyond that, they're going to be taken for a ride, I think, fairly easily.
Or sometimes it actually, I mean, when people will take a picture, I mean, they maybe don't have the expertise to figure out, what just happened. Yeah. I mean, there are so many different mechanics of the camera, the film, when you go back to film cameras, and even digital stuff nowadays, that once you take something, people sometimes jump to the conclusion that it might be something paranormal. And I get a flood of photographs through the course of the week. I mean, I get 4 to 5 different photographs that people send me through emails of things that they photographed and not quite sure of what it was, and kind of what my my answer to that, or my theory of what it could be.
I suppose there's a lot of innocent pictures, in a sense, right? That there's a lot of people who are just like, this is what I think it is, and you can look at it and you can kind of probably figure out what's pareidoia or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of photographs, unfortunately, and again, I don't say that people fake them. I have come across some fake photographs in my time. There's a very easy way. I have software that can detect that very, very easily. But in a matter of a few minutes, sometimes in just getting a photograph, I can come up with kind of some ideas of what some possible explanations would be, for that image. And then if I need to delve a little bit deeper, I have several different software programs that I use to kind of analyze it and sharpen it up and do all types of, digitizing, to the photograph to see what else it could be. And, it basically comes down to 3 different avenues that I go down. One is obviously explainable photographs that have a natural explanation. There are photographs that I cannot figure out, one way or the other. So they're kind of like on the fence. I kind of call them paranormal, which just simply means unknown.
Yeah.
And then there's the third category, which could be literally a disembodied spirit, some sort of full-bodied apparition or shadow figure that actually is on the other side of the fence, so to speak. So those are the 3 categories I kind of work through to see, 1, 2, and 3 to figure out, what that photograph, that image might be.
That's amazing. And I do want to talk more about that. And also we're going to need to take a break. And I also, when we come back, since we haven't talked about it, I want to talk extensively about Lincoln in the White House. And I want to really cover off on that a little bit too. So we're going to continue our conversation with Dale Kaczmarek, talk about the White House. We're going to talk about Lincoln. We're going to talk about a lot more. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
2023 is here, and you can make it the year of the Eagle with the National Eagle Center. You and your family can enjoy exciting Eagle experiences, including field trips, private habitat tours, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tours. Meet live eagles up close, view bald eagles and golden eagles in the wild, and receive personal one-on-one education with dedicated and knowledgeable Eagle experts as you journey into the world of eagles like never before. Learn more and plan your unforgettable Eagle experience today at nationaleaglecenter.org/experiences.
Hi, everyone. Listen to my show, The Matt McNeil Show, weekday afternoons at 3 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Every day we talk about politics, celebrating the Democrats taking control of Minnesota, but we also talk about a lot of other things, too. Parenting, sports, the arts, music. If it affects you in Minnesota, we'll talk about it. Plus, we have a lot of regular guests giving you national and local insight on the issues affecting you. Weekday afternoons, it's The Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Gregory Rich, host of Drink in the Style and owner of Habitation Furnishing and Design. People often ask me, why habitation for my home? Well, I could give you hundreds of reasons. I could talk about the extensive collection of furnishing suppliers or our exceptionally talented design team. I could talk about service, but the truth is, habitation clients come back room after room and home after home, and that speaks volumes. Habitation put some drama into your interiors.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hey, it's Tom. With fossil fuel energy costs continuing to rise, it's time to stabilize your business's expenses with a new commercial solar system from All Energy Solar. A system from All Energy Solar has a life of 25 to 30 years, allowing you to lock in your electric rates without worrying about endless rate increases. All Energy Solar has worked with businesses of all sizes and types and can customize a solution for you. Solar solutions for your business are completely scalable, so you never need to worry that you're paying for more system than you actually need. Plus, All Energy Solar can help you find all the relevant tax credits at the federal and local level. They include up to a 50% federal tax credit, deducting depreciation from your system up to 100% and more. And while it's certainly good to save on your utility costs, your customers will appreciate working with a business that prioritizes reducing their environmental impact. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar's commercial solar specialists by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
And I also want to thank Metamorphosis Connections for being such a great sponsor. Thank you very much. Make sure you go check out metamorphosisconnections.com. Also, I want to put onto your dance card, put onto your calendar, April 8th, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, a special adult version of Ghostbox Radio. Maybe adult isn't the right word, Adam. I mean, that's probably giving the wrong impression.
Well, I'm your board up for that. So yeah, we're getting close to that non-adult, very juvenile style.
We're doing a serious deep dive into alien abductions on a special primetime episode of Ghostbox Radio, and that's going to be April 8th, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 hours in length. We're calling it Ghostbox Radio After Dark, is what it is.
I like that. It does make it sound a little bit more adult and less fluffy,
because that's normally what this is all about, especially October when we had all those demonologists on.
Man, October was so serious. It actually will be nice to do the Alien 2-hour special to kind of get back into more of a serious realm again, because we have been a little bit fluffy, but oh my goodness, October was so good. You had such great guests and topics.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. So definitely put it on the calendar for that. We'll be announcing guests and everything as time goes on, but May 8th, my goodness, April 8th, which is about a month away. It's coming up very fast. Our first of the primetime Ghostbox Radio After Dark. Definitely check it out. I am going to be a featured guest at a new convention this May called Quantum Con. This convention is going to have a paranormal aspect to it, but it's going to be so much more as well. The convention is May 19th through the 21st. You can sign up for it and see what's going on there at Quantum Con. Let me do that again, quantum-con.org, quantum-con.org. Words are not very easy today, Adam. You just can't always do it, though, you know?
It's sad. I was going to bring this up to you. I just saw this on Twin Cities Geek. I was going to bring it up to you off the air if we should do something at that convention in Plymouth.
Oh, the Quantum Con one?
Yeah, I just read about it on Twin Cities Geek. I was going to talk to you about that.
Anton, who's putting the convention on, has wanted me. He's been talking to me a couple of years about doing it.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, no,
I want to come.
Yeah, well, let's figure it out. I actually talked to him a little bit about that. So yeah, let's talk more about that. And if you miss Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken live, AM 950 replays these episodes Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, or you can listen anytime by going to Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. After listening, please leave a positive review for my show. I would greatly appreciate it. Our guest today is president of the Ghost Research Society and director of Excursions into the Unknown Incorporated, Dale Kazmarek, and we're talking about the Haunted White House today, amongst other things. Dale, I think we got the audio fix. I wanted to play one other thing that I did through Spirit Box, and not the White House or anything, but this is kind of how I want to open the Lincoln segment, where we think we got Mary Todd Lincoln. And I'd like to play that right now. And hopefully you all, including those of you at home, can hear this and hear me mess up a very simple question. The question was going to be, Mrs. Lincoln, when you were living, you spoke to the dead. Now that you're dead, do you speak to the living? That was so simple. Listen to how I screw it up, but the payoff, I believe, is there. Adam, if we could play that, please.
Mrs. Lincoln, you spent your entire life reaching out to spirits. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people?
Talk about what?
Talk about what?
That's and I don't know how many of you heard that. I believe that the response from a female, I can't, we can never say for certain that is Mary Todd Lincoln, but is a very exasperated woman going, talk about what? I don't know if you heard that or not, Dale.
Yeah, I heard it, and it was very clear. I picked up even before you said anything.
That's great. That is fantastic. And that's how we want them to be. And I just wanted to open that segment with that because the Lincolns is something of a very, very important to me. It's my favorite president. It's my favorite sort of aspect of our country, along with hauntings and paranormal and spirituality. I mean, Dale, the Lincolns have such a big, long presence in the White House, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the very first person supposedly that ever saw Lincoln was Grace Coolidge. and she saw Lincoln looking out the window of the Oval Office across the Potomac, which would have been like towards the Civil War battlefields. That was back in the 1920s. Eleanor Roosevelt used a Lincoln bedroom as a study, and she said on many occasions she just felt that he was there. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands was visiting in 1942 and staying in a Lincoln room. In the middle of the night, she heard a large rap on the door. She was wondering who's rapping on the door. In the middle of the night, opened the door to see the entire door frame filled with this man dressed in black with a stovepipe hat. And he said she fainted immediately upon seeing that. Lady Bird Johnson felt Lincoln's presence in one night while she was watching television. Margaret Reagan, cousin, and her husband both saw Lincoln in the fireplace, just as Churchill did in during the war. He was coming out of his bathtub, completely naked, smoking a cigar, and he saw Lincoln sitting by the fireplace. And he said to Mr. Lincoln, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at this disadvantage," which was kind of neat. President Truman's daughter, Margaret, heard rapping on the door, as did Truman himself on many occasions in 1946. Some said that they actually saw Lincoln sitting on the bed, pulling on his shoes, including Eleanor Roosevelt's secretary, Mary Eben, who said she ran out of the room in terror when she saw that. In the 1980s, a White House operations foreman said he came into the White House and saw Lincoln sitting on the chair on the top of the staircase. Now, my favorite Lincoln story is the dream that he had.
Yes.
This is a few days before the assassination in April 14th, 1865. He said he had a dream where he heard a chorus of sobbing and crying coming from the White House. So he puts on his bedrobe, goes downstairs and into the East Room, where he sees a flag-draped coffin, 2 guards standing on either side, and a throng of people sobbing and weeping and crying. He goes up to one of the guards and he says, "Who has died in the White House?" The guard says, "The president. He was killed by an assassin's bullet." And he wakes up. So a couple of days later, he was in fact killed by assassin's bullet. Might have been a prophecy of his own demise in the White House.
What I love about that story, it is so like Charles Dickensian sort of 1800s ghost story of like, including the bedroom gown, just the kind of seeing your own mortality and stuff. It's such a powerful story. And, the question I also would have, and we don't have an answer for this, I'm fairly certain, but, that was, that premonition. Did that guard say that it was the guard, say that it was actually some sort of like time slip or something? If the guard had to answer a question, seems highly improbable, but still, like, did he have to answer a question to someone and little did he realize it's just some kind of weird timey thing where it was the president? I mean, it's a lot of weird anomalies, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to remember that the Lincolns were, especially Mary Todd Lincoln, was very much into spiritualism.
Yep.
She did a lot of seances. She tried to contact some of her dead children. After, several of her children, including Willie, died from typhoid fever. Yep. I mean, she literally locked herself in the bedroom, wouldn't come out. And she called in these psychics and these mediums to try to make contact, to try to see if he was okay on the other side. So, and there was a lot of different doors opened, I believe, doorways to the other side, if you consider a seance, basically opening up doorway to the other side. And I think this might have, I kind of intensified, I guess, the situations and dreams and things of that nature. And Lincoln himself was very much into spiritualism. This was, during the time of spiritualism. And, I think that and what he was going through at the war and sending so many, hundreds of thousands of people to their death, I think it weighed very heavily on Lincoln. And I think that's one of the reasons he comes back to the White House, kind of pondering what he did, what he could have done. And I think that's one of the main reasons he's there so much, because he had a great impact on our country. Our country was divided. It was brother against brother during the Civil War. And I think all of that, the spiritualism and everything together is why he's seen there. And he's been seen by, like I said, the Obamas, the Bushes, the Reagans. I mean, more contemporary
Yeah.
presidents, but going all the way back to, time of Dolly Madison and Abigail Adams and their scene in the White House as well. I mean, there's a plethora of spirits that are there for certain reasons. Dolly Madison didn't want the Rose Garden dug up. She's protecting that, and Abigail Adams was seen coming down the stairs with her wash, hanging on the East Room. And you can sometimes smell an odor of soap or damp clothes. I mean, it's just so many different entities, I guess you'd call them, that just had an impact. I mean, they're normal lives that are still being replayed, not always because of something bad that happened, but because they're just there doing what they normally did in everyday life.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Let's take our last break. When we come back, we're going to finish our conversation with Dale Kaczmarek, talk about the White House. We're going to talk about what he has going on. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Winter is here, and there's a good chance your home isn't being heated efficiently. And it's likely because of air sealing and insulation problems. Inadequate attic insulation is the leading contributor to high energy bills, cold rooms, and ice dams. Great news, the energy-efficient pros at Snap Construction can fix it all. Stop the heat from leaking out and save. Call 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com for your free infrared energy inspection. Install with Snap Construction and qualify for over $750 in rebates and incentives. State and city programs are now offering 0% financing for qualifying insulation upgrades. So call Snap Construction for your free insulation energy consultation and start saving on your energy bills. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed insulation and exterior contractor in the metro area. Visit snapconstruction.com.
Replacing your appliances can be daunting. Unstaffed superstores, confusing product reviews, and higher prices. It feels like the cards are stacked against you. But at Warner Stellian, the only thing we stack are the savings. Right now, save an extra $50 to $500 on each new appliance on top of instant savings. Then get a bonus for each extra appliance you add for up to $500. And you'll save time with our specialists. From shopping to free professional delivery. Stack savings you can't get elsewhere from Minnesota's appliance specialist, Warner Stellian.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's MetamorphosisConnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Hi, this is Laura, and I want to tell you about my family's favorite thing. It's our wood stove. We bought it about 14 years ago from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. And see, the wood stove has actually paid for itself because we can keep the main area that we live in toasty warm with this great moist heat. But more important than saving money, it has actually improved our lives. Having a fire simplifies life. It provides comfort. It sort of takes the chill out of winter.
I'm Peter Solak. In 1977, I started Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, and I experienced the simple joy of warming myself by a fire. I also realized that the place and the way we embrace fire has evolved in a diversity of forms and styles. So at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have brought together the widest selection of our fireplace products and technical knowledge in the Twin Cities. Our mission is to use our knowledge to help you choose the design and function that is right for you and your home.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today and find the right fire for you.
And next week on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, we bring back Ernie and Denise Pack as we celebrate their return and Tina and Charlie's return to Waverly Hills. We're going to be talking about this location and what has happened over the last couple of years to get us to this point. It's going to be a very positive conversation. A lot of good things have happened. Plus, we could talk about one of the best locations around and some of the some spirits there that have made a lot of people's lives better. So we're going to talk about that. Next week's going to be a fantastic and fascinating conversation. For our final segment, we return to our guest today, President of the Ghost Research Society and Director of Excursions into the Unknown Incorporated, Dale Kaczmarek, and we are talking about haunted White House as well as other things. Our last segment, we have a little bit of time left. Dale, I don't know if you know this answer to this question, but one of the questions I have, you talked about that there's sightings of Lincoln in the fireplace. When they rebuilt the White House in the in 1948 to 1952, that's how long it took. How close was it to the original the plans that were there before the renovation, as far as like the floor plans and stuff? Were rooms moved around, or was it all very faithful?
I think basically the rooms weren't moved around to my understanding. I think the rooms remained where they were. I just think they just wanted, to completely renovate the inside of the building, in which they did. And some of those pictures, I was able to find some in between the break here. And I think I might have found maybe the one you're talking about, but I'll have to look at it again.
Sure.
But I mean, I think basically, again, going back to the idea of massive renovation, stuff like that, I think that just stirs things up because, again, the spirits like to remember the place as they lived in it. And I think a lot of those things may have happened after as well, and they continue on to this very day.
One of the questions I immediately came to mind when you have you've done so much work in spirit photography and stuff was, as we know, the time of Lincoln's assassination, there was, spiritualism was huge, was really gaining ground. And then around the time after his assassination, folks like Mary Todd Lincoln went to get pictures that would have like spirits behind them, or the spirit would be in the picture. And there's that famous one of Mary Todd Lincoln with President Lincoln in spirit form above her with his hands on her shoulders. What do you think of those?
Well, a lot of those very early so-called spirit photographs were taken by people like Mumler and Bougway and others. I write about that in my book on spirit photography. Mm-hmm. And, those cameras, you have to remember, they were able to manipulate the film. They found out that they had a much better market for taking what they call extras, spirits in the photographs than just normal photographs. When people wanted to be photographed, perhaps with their dead loved ones, it was very easy to do that. I mean, you just covered half the photographic plate, and later on you insert an extra, and it looks just like the person's there. So Bougway, in fact, himself was a French photographer, a very early so-called spirit photographer, and he actually was from France, and he was sent to jail for a while for fraud, defrauding the public using his cameras and his technologies. And you got to remember, those old cameras, the shutters were weren't very quick.
Yeah. So
you had to stand very, very still, and he would uncover it and then cover it back up and pull the plate back out and so forth. If you moved just so much, it looked like there was this, kind of a haze or like an extra or like a semi-transparent form behind you. You see so many of these, especially taken during the Civil War. Alexander Gardner and I can't think of the other guy's name, but the two main, Brady, I believe was his name, and they were the main photographers during the Civil War. They were showing the carnage and the dead bodies laying on the battlefield, and through Antietam and Gettysburg, which I've been to about a dozen times.
Yeah.
And those locations, when they're taking photographs of soldiers, sometimes you will see them move, and you'll see that kind of like that extra thing on there. So those early spirit photographers, when you're sitting in a chair and you're photographing, you're not moving. So the picture's really good. But like I say, they can literally put something in afterwards. And there was a big market for that. And so that some of those pictures of Lincoln and floating heads and what looks like ectoplasm, which basically a lot of that was cheesecloth, were frauds. Unfortunately, the very early ones were frauds. Of course, much later when we got better cameras, and we kind of got out of that idea of every photograph has to have a ghost or an extra or a floating head, and those people were basically proven to be frauds. It just became better along the way.
I just don't understand why they didn't use an iPhone. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, folks, I'm kidding. Yeah, Adam, we're gonna get notes about that one for sure. So we have about a minute left, less than a minute left. How can people find your books, Dale?
They can go to my website at ghostresearch.org. That's www.ghostresearch.org. They're on all the books, including 19 books that have been published through our publishing company by different authors around there. Variety of different topics. I have 6 myself, and then they could also find, if they go to Amazon.com, they can find those books directly on there. Unfortunately, if you go to Amazon.com and order from there, you don't get an autographed copy. So if you want an autographed copy, the best way to do is go through my website, and I can personalize it and send it directly out.
Are you going to make me go broke, Dale? Because I have a feeling you're going to make me go broke here very soon once I go to your site and see the books and stuff.
Well, I have 2 books on Chicago ghosts. I have a book on spirit photography, a book on ghost hunting techniques. I have a book on spook lights and ghost lights, and I also have one on haunted highways and bridges. That was my latest book. It was a lot of fun writing it, trying to track down these stories, these bridges, these highways, and it was a very interesting book.
Dale Kaczmarek is the president of the Ghost Research Society and director of Excursions into the Unknown Incorporated. And among many things, he has authored 6 books, as we just talked about, and appeared on many television programs. Dale, you were very gracious with your time, talk about the White House. I hope you'll come back again and we can really delve into your research and your work.
Absolutely.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Dale, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much. This has been Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950. Thank you all for joining me. Next week, we're going to be focusing with, we're going to be talking Waverly Hills. We're going to be having back on Ernie and Denise Pack. It's going to be a great episode. See you next week.
Hey, Twin Cities, Latunji with Latunji's Palette Bakery and Cafe, located at 1400 Park Avenue South in the Elliott Park community. We invite you to discover the